Have you ever had someone say something so simple, yet so profound, that it completely changed how you see the world? For me, that moment came during an ordinary taxi ride. What started as a routine trip turned into one of the most eye-opening lessons on gratitude I've ever received, thanks to a driver whose wisdom left me speechless. This isn't just my story. It's a reminder that sometimes life's greatest teachers come from the most unexpected places. Stick around, because this moment might just inspire you to see your own life a little differently. It was years ago, on a day that felt no different from any other. I had an early morning meeting across town, and I was running late. To save time, I hailed a taxi, a decision I thought was purely practical at the time. Little did I know that ride would leave me with a lesson I'd carry for the rest of my life. I was distracted, stressed, and entirely focused on the day ahead. But as the ride began, the driver, an older gentleman with a warm smile, started a conversation that shifted my focus completely. The city was just waking up, the streets alive with the hum of morning traffic. I remember slumping into the back seat, juggling my phone, my notebook, and my coffee. I was frustrated, worried about being late, about work, about a million little things that felt monumental in the moment. The driver broke the silence with a simple question. "How's your morning going so far?" His tone was cheerful, almost too cheerful for someone navigating rush hour traffic. I gave a half-hearted response, something like, "It's fine, just busy." He chuckled and said, "Well, at least you're here to have a busy morning. Some folks didn't wake up today." At first, I didn't quite know how to respond. His words were true, of course, but they hit me in a way I wasn't expecting. Sensing my silence, he continued, "You know, I used to complain about everything, traffic, bills, bad days. Then one day, something happened that changed all of that for me." He paused and I couldn't help but ask, "What happened?" He glanced at me in the rearview mirror and said, "I almost lost my life in an accident a few years ago. Spent weeks in the hospital, unsure if I'd ever walk again. When I finally got out, I made a decision. If I could get another chance at life, I wouldn't waste it complaining." As the car weaved through traffic, he shared more of his story. He spoke about how the accident had forced him to reevaluate everything: his relationships, his priorities, and most importantly, his attitude. I realized I'd spent so much time focusing on what I didn't have that I never appreciated what I did, he said. But when you're lying in a hospital bed, unable to move, you start to see things differently. I promised myself that if I ever got back on my feet, I'd start every day with gratitude. His words were simple, but they carried a weight that silenced the noise in my head. He went on, "Gratitude isn't about ignoring life's challenges. It's about recognizing the blessings we often overlook, the fact that we're breathing, moving, and able to experience another day." I found myself staring out the window, his words echoing in my mind. Here I was, stressed about being a few minutes late to a meeting, while this man had faced the possibility of never walking again. He continued, "People think gratitude is about the big things, a promotion, a windfall, a dream coming true. But it's the little things that matter most. A cup of coffee, a sunny day, a stranger's smile. Those are the moments that make life beautiful." Something shifted in me during that ride. For the first time in what felt like weeks, I stopped thinking about what was wrong and started noticing what was right. As we neared my destination, the driver offered one last piece of wisdom. "Gratitude is like a muscle," he said. "The more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Start small. Think of 3 things you're grateful for every morning. It doesn't have to be big, just honest. You'll be amazed at how it changes your perspective." When we arrived, I handed him the fare and said, "Thank you for the ride and the conversation." He smiled and replied, "Thank you for listening. Gratitude is meant to be shared." That day, I took his advice. As I walked in my meeting, I thought of 3 things I was grateful for: the warm coffee in my hand, the clear blue sky, and the unexpected wisdom of a taxi driver who had reminded me of what truly matters. Since that day, I've made gratitude a daily practice. It's not always easy. Life has its challenges, and it's easy to focus on what's missing. But whenever I catch myself slipping into frustration or negativity, I think back to that conversation and remember to focus on the blessings I already have. Sometimes, the greatest lessons come from the most unexpected places. That taxi ride wasn't just a trip across town. It was a turning point in how I view life. Gratitude isn't about ignoring life's difficulties. It's about finding joy and meaning in the moments we often take for granted. And the best part? Gratitude doesn't cost a thing, but it can change everything. So the next time you find yourself stuck in frustration, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what am I grateful for right now? You might be surprised by how much you have to appreciate. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger that left a lasting impact on your life? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If this story resonated with you, give it a like and share it with someone who might need a reminder about the power of gratitude. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, John the Stoic, for more stories and lessons grounded in wisdom and life experience. Together, let's keep learning, growing, and finding gratitude in the little things